The following program is to provide entertainment and information. It is not considered to be any legal or investment advice. The following program is sponsored in part by Choice Valuation and their cutting-edge product, Spark. Spark gives appraisers the ability to provide local market data with trends analysis, detailed data entry services, top-of-the-line cost data estimates, and much more. Give Brandon a call today at 1-888-699-3450 or visit them online at www.spark4appraisers.com. That's Spark, F-O-R, appraisers.com. We are proud to have Choice Valuation as a sponsor for Appraiser Fest 2018. We thank them for their support. Good morning, appraisers. Let's talk some real estate. You're listening to the Voice of Appraisal. Every week we come to you with the latest news and information from the front lines of the real estate market, anything from market conditions, appraisal regulations, cryptocurrencies, Appraiser Fest news. Folks, you have a question, we have all of your answers. We are the one-stop source for all of your real estate appraisal information needs. If you want to be in the know, you have definitely tuned in to the right show. I'm your host, Phil Crawford. Happy to have all of you here with us today. Kevin, my dear friend. Kevin, wow. I'll tell you something right now, my dear friends. These two shows this week are the most important shows that Voice of Appraisal has ever put out in the last 4 years. I'm not kidding you. We've had some big shows. We've broke some big news. But this stuff right here, what we're going to handle, seriously, these two shows, between what we're going to talk about today and Peter Christensen on Wednesday. We're releasing a show on Wednesday. So you got Monday's show, then Wednesday's show, because all this information has got to get out there. Seriously, these are the two most important shows that we've ever put out. Kevin, we've got to do it. Kevin, please play the music.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Coester from Coester Valuation Management Solutions, Kevin. He's back in the news on social media again. And this thing, Kevin, you and I, we're very creative people. We have a lot of creativity. I can't make this stuff up. This is a script that I cannot write. All of the characters that are involved here, this goes all the way up to the President of the United States. Seriously, this goes all the way up to the White House. Brian Coester has put himself in a position to go all the way up to the President of the United States through a cabinet-level position from the HUD Secretary, which is Ben Carson. Now, let me break all this down. I mean, it's serious.
That's scary.
I'm telling you. I mean, this is a scandal in the making like I have never seen before. Let's go ahead and break it down. This all started a couple days ago when Appraisersforum broke the news that Coester Valuation Management Solutions was calling real estate appraisers, telling them not to cash checks because their accounts were frozen. So for some reason, Coester had his accounts frozen and the appraisers were not getting paid. There's a big problem right here. This flies out all over social media. Now, you remember, my dear friends, you remember that Kevin and I put out a show. It was March 2nd, 2018. It was a VOA morning update. It was on a Friday, and it was titled, Are They Buddies? And we broke down the possible and probable relationship between Ben Carson Jr., who is Ben Carson, the HUD Secretary of the United States of America, a cabinet-level position, his son, and Brian Coester. What was their relationship? There's a lot of photos of those guys on the internet, very, very buddy-buddy, very much in the same circles, same spheres of influence. We were pondering what was the relationship between these two people. And this was the same time that Ben Carson's office ordered that $31,000 dining room table. Remember that? It was Tablegate back then. To this day, I'm telling you right now, I do believe that Dr. Carson's office is a little frumpy, and it does need to be fixed up. But a $31,000 dining room table, forget. So President Trump calls up Dr. Carson, has a conversation, shut down. Okay, that whole thing is canceled. Now, this is what prompted us to do the show in March of 2018. Now, get a load of this. So Coester's accounts are frozen. The word on the street right now is they're unfrozen. Now, if appraisers are getting paid or not, I don't know. I don't know if the account payables are being taken care of. I'm not sure. But it was frozen. Now, at this particular point in time, and if you look up the information from the District Court of Maryland, and if you put in Brian Coester's name on the court dockets, by the way, a lot of stuff pops up. This is the first time I've ever gone on here. A lot of stuff pops up. a lot of things pop up in Maryland when it comes to Brian Coester and Coester VMS. But what ended up happening is a Meridian LLC filed a lawsuit against Coester VMS. Now, Meridian LLC's president is Ben Carson Jr.'s wife.
Wow.
Okay, now hold on. It gets, I tell you, can't make it up. It gets even better now. So what ended up happening is Meridian filed a lawsuit against Coester VMS on what was considered to be a case type of a confessed judgment. Now, I must confess, I had no idea what the hell a confessed judgment was. I'm not a lawyer. But thank goodness, on Appraisersforum, the famous appraiser by the name of Tim D put on an excellent post about explaining what a confessed judgment was. So he stated on Appraisersforum that a confessed judgment note is nothing more than a loan document that allows a creditor to obtain an immediate judgment against the borrower in the case of default. Now, he's talking about Maryland. In Maryland, confessed judgments are only allowed on commercial transaction loans, such as a loan made to a business like Brian Coester's. The entry of an order of a confessed judgment is not necessarily the end of the game, since the defendant may move to open, modify, or vacate the confessed judgment by offering evidence constituting a defense to the promissory note. Thank you, Tim D., for putting this up here. It looks like Coester's friend or affiliate or associate by the name of Ben Carson Jr. and his wife, it sounds like they were in business together. It sounds like there was some loan made to Brian Coester VMS, from this Meridian LLC, and it sounds like they're not getting paid. So we were wondering at this time, Kevin, if these guys are connected to each other or not. Well, it sounds like to me Meridian, a.k.a. Ben Carson Jr. and his wife, the son and daughter-in-law of Dr. Carson, the HUD secretary, cabinet-level position to the President of the United States of America, made a loan and is in bed with quite possibly the most infamous AMC owner on the face of the planet. I can't make it up, Kevin. I just can't make it up. So now what happens? Well, I don't know. Maybe Brian Coester is going to fight this. The other big question is does Meridian at this particular point in time have any ownership in Coester VMS? If it's a confessed judgment, does that mean that this is the precursor to bankruptcy over at Coester VMS? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? No, I'm serious. Okay, so listen to this. Appraiser Law, as I know, was the largest appraisal management company bankruptcy in history. A lot of people were screwed. A lot of appraisers did not get paid. Then you had Zayo. That was the biggest ripoff in appraiser history. This one could be the second largest bankruptcy in AMC history as well. And if this happens, if the appraisers don't get paid and this goes into BK, then this will be the second largest bankruptcy in AMC history at the hands of the HUD secretary's son and daughter-in-law. Think about that for just a minute. And the big question I have is Ben Carson Jr. and Coester, were they friends prior to the election of President Trump? See, that's another big question, too, because if they were friends prior to the election of Donald Trump, then you could say, okay, maybe they were doing business before this all happened. But now what if they became friends after the election? Was there any political influence used to get in bed with Brian Coester at that time because of Dr. Carson becoming the HUD secretary? There's an investigation over at HUD right now. You can see here, Ben Carson's family ethics drama. There's assumingly a big scandal brewing around his son over at HUD, creating like a listening tour in Baltimore. So he's got this scandal going on. This is another scandal in the making. This goes straight up the line.
Hey, Phil, all I have to say is this has to do with Washington, D.C.
Right.
There's always a scandal.
Well, there's always a scandal. But the one thing that the President of the United States right now does not need is a scandal, especially out of HUD. He doesn't need it. He's got the thing with the Russia thing. He's got all this other stuff going on. You've already got the table situation going on over there at HUD with the family drama. Tablegate. The other thing is this. And I have a sneaky feeling that President Trump is going to find out what an appraisal management company is and what they do and how that business model works. I have a sneaky feeling he's going to find out all about that very, very soon when all this stuff comes out. I'm telling you. And the one thing about President Trump is that he's not going to put up with this crap. He's not going to put up with it. Brian Coester has now become the poster boy for the AMC business model. That's what he's become. He is the poster boy for the AMCs. Coester Valuation Management Solutions is a member to Riva, the Vatican City of the AMC religion. Now, think about that for a minute. You got this guy who's now, I guess, in business with Ben Carson's family. Think about this. If the president sees him and Riva goes up there and says, hey, look, Mr. President, hey, this is what's going on. You know what the president's going to do. President Trump doesn't mess around. What's he going to do?
You're all fired. All four are fired.
All four fired. They're all fired. You're going to be like, Mr. President, we're important. We're important. We're needed. We're needed. Use us.
Go home.
All right, we're going to go home. That's what's going to happen to these AMCs, man. I mean, seriously, if this stuff gets up there to the president, if it gets up there to HUD, then a lot of these banks are going to sit there and go, wait a second, what are these AMCs doing? Here's what I think. I don't think that the AMCs are going away unless there's a massive, major scandal on their part. So, in other words, this whole situation here with Coester and Ben Carson Jr., this is a HUD scandal. This is a scandal that's coming out of the Department of HUD. This is not a scandal of the AMCs. Unless there's some gigantic AMC scandal, I don't think they're going anywhere. But what this could do is prompt the president or lawmakers in Washington, D.C. to say, you know what? We really do need to have meaningful AMC reform. Stuff that we have never seen before. We're talking about client trust accounts. Money comes in, the appraiser is paid, period. That's it. We're talking about cost-plus models. Everything that we've talked about for the last 4 years on this show. This could really impact a lot of the appraisal management companies out there because major reform could be on the way just because of this growing scandal over there at HUD. Obviously, the Carsons are mad at Coester. They're upset because they've had to sue him. But now the problem is they're put in a very bad position because if they take over the company or if they try to find a way to get their money back, they may need to bankrupt the company. And guess what? Every appraiser in America that's done work for him that doesn't get paid is screwed. And like I said, at the hands of the son of the HUD secretary and his daughter.
I shouldn't laugh about this, but the way that this is playing out.
I know.
You just can't make this stuff up.
You can't make it up. And I tell you something, the reason why I brought up the fact of did they know each other or not prior to the election? Because you remember Coester was out there with pictures with Hillary Clinton. Do you remember that? He was on Twitter or something like that. It was like a $300 plate dinner. Hillary Clinton sitting there saying, oh, I really like what I'm hearing, really like what I'm hearing. What happens when President Trump finds out about that? What happens when all of a sudden his HUD secretary, his kid, may be doing business with somebody that's best buddies with Hillary Clinton? I don't know. I'm just saying. And also it makes you speculate some other things, too, with Brian Coester. We can only speculate here, but this thing could get deeper. What else has Brian Coester done in the past besides go bankrupt? Let me take a look here. 3, maybe 4 times. These are all on the Maryland thing. Each one of these is a bankruptcy. So we can all kind of figure out where this is going to go with Meridian. But what else has he done in the past? Now, he sued the Commonwealth of Virginia for antitrust violations, and now it makes me wonder and it makes me speculate. Does he have something to do with the FTC investigation in Louisiana? Remember, he's only one of 2 companies that were fined and penalized in Louisiana for the customary and reasonable fee issue. Does he have something to do with that? And if he has something to do with that, an individual like this now being in business with Ben Carson Jr., who's directly connected to an FTC case in Louisiana?
Join us tomorrow for another chapter of As the Real Estate World Tumbles.
As the coaster turns. I'm telling you, man.
Jeez.
This is how deep this thing can get. And if he is involved in the FTC investigation, remember, he's still a member of Riva as of right now.
Right.
And Mark Schiffman, who's the director of Riva, did not say in a written statement, but I think he made a statement that he vehemently denied Riva had anything to do with the FTC investigation into Louisiana. I can only speculate. I don't know. I have no information on it. But we're not stupid, and when there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire sometimes too. So I don't know. My dear friends, I have no idea what's going to happen with Coester Valuation Management Solutions. All we do know now is that they were friends at one time. It doesn't sound like they're friends anymore. Doesn't sound like they're getting along. And
yeah, I was going to say, they're probably not on speaking terms.
No, but the one thing that's going to happen is this puts Carson Jr. and his wife in a very, very, very tough situation, because if they have to BK that company to apparently get some money back, so that's my 2 cents on this matter, folks. It just broke last week. If you want to do work for them or not, hey, that's your decision, not mine. I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. I'm just going to bring you what I've researched here. And this is a scandal that the HUD really does have to get a hold of. They've got to get a hold of this. They got to get out in front of it as quickly as they possibly can. Wow. That's all I got to say is just wow.
Wow.
That's all I got to say. Wow. Okay. Oh, a couple other things here really quick. Now, Wednesday's show, Peter Christensen is going to join us from LIA Administrators. He's going to be talking with us about the Tyndall versus Murphy case out of California. This case is so important. This is going to create what I call the great transformation in the real estate appraisal profession. Something is going to happen. We are going to be transformed. And Peter and I, on Wednesday, are going to open up a $1 billion market to real estate appraisers all across the country, because this case changes everything. So Wednesday's show, you do not want to miss. And after Wednesday's show, you will understand how important Appraiser Fest will be this year, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in San Antonio, Texas. And that's not a sales pitch. That's the damn truth. You've got to get ready for it, because the greatest transformation of our business is going to take place in 2018. And if you set yourself up right, you will put yourself on an even playing field, and you will make tons and tons of money, because now we can do what we were supposed to do, and that is adhere to the public trust. We're going to do our jobs the way that we need to do our jobs, and Peter and I are going to break that down. So if you want to register to Appraiser Fest, go to www.appraiserfest.com or NOV123.com. Get your registration for the event. You're going to have a terrific time. You're going to learn a ton of stuff, and it's going to be great. I promise you. So I want to thank our Appraiser Fest and VOA sponsors, Landy Insurance, A-Now Software, Spark, Data Master, and DataStream for their support of Appraiser Fest and for this show. And, folks, it's going to be an exciting year. We can guarantee that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show for this week. And as always, I would like to thank you for listening as we journey through the mysteries and complexities that are, in fact, the real estate appraisal business. I would like to thank my producer, Kevin Kinney, for being here for his thoughtful insight and knowledge. God willing, we'll be back here in 2 days, continuing to report from the front lines of the real estate market. In the meantime, you kiss your spouse, you hug your children, enjoy your day, be safe in the field. You've been listening to Phil Crawford on Voice of Appraisal. We'll talk next week.
Go home.
Go home.